Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you once again for episode 2 of the new SHEATH podcast, which is going to be uploaded onto YouTube and available for all of our followers. Today, we have the honor of talking to Kyle the Monster Nelson, recently named a UFC fighter and fought earlier this month against Diego Ferreira. We're going to talk about that. Very exciting stuff. Thank you for joining me, Kyle.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Awesome. It's New Year's Eve, so we're working on New Year's Eve kind of, but this will be fun.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you what your memory of how you became like aware of SHEATH and ultimately became a part of SHEATH.
Yeah. So it was a long time ago now.
I know.
But yeah, I was scrolling through Facebook, I think, and I think I saw a SHEATH ad. So then I started looking SHEATH up and I started checking it out and stuff. And that's I was also looking for sponsors at the time,
Nice.
but I was just starting out in my pro MMA career. So I checked SHEATH out, ordered some. They were awesome, and I think right around the time I was ordering them, or maybe right after, I had sent I think a Facebook message, just asking about SHEATH and stuff, and asking about if you guys had any sponsorships or stuff like that, and then it kind of all started from there.
Yeah, it did start from there. That's funny. And that's pretty cool, man. I've been a huge fan since I saw your first fight. I think you choked some dude out in a rear naked choke. And I remember it as being right around the time of our first Kickstarter. And I remember you bought $250 worth, which we had at this huge discount. Remember the cotton ones?
Yeah, the SHEATH, the originals.
Yeah, and I was like, this dude is spending money on SHEATH, and that means a lot when you're a business owner and someone's willing to quote unquote invest in you. So that really made an impression on me about what you kind of stood for and how you would be a part of SHEATH and not just want something for nothing. And
yeah.
But I know we sponsored that first fight and you won, and I remember messaging you good job, and I know we were having a party that night, and I had a bunch of people sitting around watching it because it was streaming on this website. But you're very impressive, and every fight that I've seen you in has impressed me. Even this last one, man, I had everybody. This was on December 6th, I think, and it was in Canada, and you were on the undercard, but I have the UFC Fight Pass, so we were all watching it, and I had everyone, I was like, come on, it's about to come on. And as you were, it started, I kind of become you, I'm standing there, and I'm just punching and ducking and dodging and stuff, because I'm I don't know, it's this weird thing. Sometimes, whenever Connor fights too, I kind of get in this weird mode where I'm living in the fight and I'm having to fight with you, and I felt the energy, and you were dominating. Obviously, you have all those still shots of you standing up and him on the ground, and there's one of you punching him real clean on the cheek area, and he wanted you to get on the ground, and you were like, fuck no, get up. Come stand with me. And then, it was weird because I guess you gassed out. They were saying on the, Joe Rogan and them, and they were hyping you up. I was like, dude, they've said his name so many times. They're giving him mad props for taking it on short notice and talking about your record and how impressive you've been up to this point. And then they were saying you might have had an adrenaline dump. What do you think happened?
Yes, that's pretty much all I can chalk it up to is an adrenaline dump. Mm-hmm. The Tuesday before the fight, I had done 4 or 5 minute rounds of sparring, so that's an extra 5 minutes beyond what the fight was going to be.
Yeah.
And I was working with bigger guys, and I was wrestling and stuff, and I made it through 4 or 5 minute rounds, and I wasn't even barely tired. So it wasn't necessarily a conditioning or a cardio thing, because I was in great shape.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But I was talking with like my nutritionist and stuff at the sport lab, and they were saying what would have happened was I got the phone call like late Tuesday night, and what would have happened is my adrenaline and my nerves and stuff, even though I didn't notice it, they said that stuff would have spiked Tuesday night, so like 4 days out. And then it would have basically stayed at 110% all the way up until the fight.
Yeah.
And then when I got into the fight, I started doing good. I started hitting them, and that's when I realized, I think I'm going to knock this guy out. I'm going to win this fight. And then my body got comfortable.
Yeah.
And as soon as my body got comfortable, then it kind of turned off the adrenaline. And because that's basically all I was running on, once the adrenaline stopped, I had nothing left.
No, man. And maybe I had been on like a bit of an adrenaline spike because I was super pumped. But I think that, a lot of fighters go through that. So it's like not this phenomenon. It's just like the first time you get called to the big show, and like you don't even realize that you're so excited far, like many days out of the fight even taking place.
Yeah. And I don't know, it's nothing I've never experienced in any other fights. And I'm usually not a very nervous guy. I'm super calm and stuff going into the fights. And I've heard of Joe Rogan and other guys talk about octagon jitters for new UFC fighters.
Yeah.
And I knew that wouldn't be a problem for me because I'm always super calm. And walking down to the octagon, I was calm. Everything was in slow motion. When I had energy and stuff, we were standing. Everything was in slow motion. I was able to dodge and move and avoid all his punches, and I was able to land everything I wanted against him. So. I didn't notice any octagon jitters there. It was just when I hit that wall, when the adrenaline dump happened, then, I wasn't able to, then everything slowed, like my punches slowed down, my footwork stopped. And once I stopped moving my feet, he was able to kind of get close and get the takedown.
Yeah, I saw that. I was just like, anyways, super proud of you. I think it's great. But I wasn't sure if you had just got like this one fight deal. So I didn't know if like this was your only shot, I told people like usually they get like a 3-fight contract or something, but I think you got a 4-fight contract. Is that right?
Yep. Yeah. So I signed a 4-fight contract before that, and then now in the contract, the UFC can cancel the contract at any time.
Yeah.
So you never know 100% if you're going to get another fight.
Right.
But it was after the fight, Dana White came back and shook my hand and said, thanks a lot and good job. And then the matchmaker came back and said he loved the fight. And as soon as I'm ready and want another fight, to let him know, and he'd get me another fight.
Yay. That's so cool. That's not Sean Shelby, right? Go ahead. What were you saying?
Yep, Sean Shelby.
Okay.
Yes, we got at least one more fight.
Yes. Awesome. Well, I think that...
And then we knocked this guy.
Yeah, super excited to have you because, like you said, you've been with us since it was 2013. I think it was late 2013 when we got that. Like or maybe it was 14, but we were transitioning from the old SHEATH to the 2.0, and I hope that essentially I want you to become bigger than Conor McGregor and just like get super popular, and everyone will be like, what's SHEATH underwear? Even though I know you have to deal with the Reebok whatever, that sponsorship. How much longer is that going, and what are the rules behind that for you guys?
So from what I understand now is it's basically a fight week sponsorship for me. So it's only in front of the UFC cameras during fight week and going into the octagon. Right. So everything outside of that, I can do whatever I want with my own sponsors.
Yeah.
And it looks like even during fight week, some other fighters still post stuff for their other sponsors. They just do it privately, not in front of any UFC media stuff. So it looks like, I think I'll be able to start doing some better posts for Sheath and stuff leading up to the next fight. And yeah, because I think we've got a pretty good idea of how the Reebok stuff works now. And then I think as far as Reebok and UFC, I think they've got a pretty long contract going into the future. So
Okay, I wasn't sure. I thought it might have be ending. I thought, but either way, I'm super proud of you. If they were like, you can't do Sheath anymore because you're with the UFC now, I would tell you, congratulations, because I want what's best for you, and like we're gonna keep doing our thing. And but thankfully, you can still help promote during the off fight week, and maybe even during fight week, just not on there. It would be so cool because you've always weighed in Sheath, and we have, the other
yeah,
fighters weigh in Sheath, and that's one of the really cool aspects of being an underwear company is that promotes fighters, is that we can have you guys weighing in. And I'm curious about, like, have you ever worn Sheath in a fight?
yeah, I wear Sheath in every fight except that UFC fight because they came back and checked and they made sure I was wearing the Reebok, everything.
That's crazy.
Yeah, every other fight I've done has been in Sheath.
Oh, weird. Yeah, you might have to figure out something because maybe it's good luck. Anyways, I thought that you had been doing that, and because I remember we had a conversation once about a tie cup. Do you wear a tie steel cup?
Yep. No, I still wear the tie steel cup.
Yeah, because I don't know. I feel like I wasn't sure because I have practiced jujitsu at times, and but without a cup, and you can be put in a vulnerable situation if you're not protected with that extra.
Yeah, it's a tricky spot.
Yeah. So how did you get started in fighting? Actually, like, was it in high school or before or after?
Uh, yeah. So when I was young, I wanted to be a boxer. I had watched Rocky, I think, when I was about like 4 or 5 years old, and I wanted to be a boxer, but nothing really came of it until I was in high school.
Uh-huh.
And then I really wanted to pursue it and go after it. And the only thing I could find close here in Huntsville was a place called Muskoka Kickboxing down in Bracebridge. So it was about half an hour, 45 minutes away. But they did kickboxing and jiu-jitsu. So they did the stand-up and the ground stuff.
Uh-huh.
So I started doing that. And it was right around then in 2005 when the first Ultimate Fighter season came out.
Yeah.
And so that was the first time I'd ever heard of UFC or mixed martial arts or any of that. And then I noticed they're doing basically the same thing. They're doing stand-up fighting and they're doing ground fighting, which I was already training for. So, well, maybe I'll give this a try. And so far it's worked out pretty good.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, your record at 145 is undefeated. Is that right?
Yeah.
Are you planning on fighting it in 145 or 155 going forward?
Yeah, no, going forward, we're going back down to 145.
Yeah, because how tall are you? I guess I could look up your stats.
Yeah, I'm about 5'10".
Okay, and 145. Yeah, you could do that. But what do you walk around at essentially?
It varies, like, because like this fight I was doing at 155, and the fight before I did at 155, I was walking higher around 170. But for 145, I try and walk lighter around 162-ish.
Hey, that's like me. I weigh about the same. And so you got trained in kickboxing and jiu-jitsu, but do you have, and I know you used to go to that George St. Pierre's gym and train over there sometimes.
Yeah, I go TriStar. I try and go once a year, but I haven't been able to make it out this year yet. But yeah, I went in 2017 and 2016. I got to work with George and stuff, so that was pretty cool.
Hell yeah. How's he?
He's exactly like he is on TV. Super nice guy, humble guy, super friendly. Every time he walks in, comes over and shakes your hand and stuff. And yeah, you'd never know he was, a multi-millionaire, UFC world champion, like that.
I know he is. He did get the belt on his last fight against Bisping, but I don't know if he's going to fight again. But that's always exciting to see him fight and stuff. He's a little bit out there. I've heard him on Joe Rogan, and he's funny, talking about like space aliens abducting him and things of that sort.
Yeah, yeah.
But have you ever had a alien encounter?
No, I haven't. I'm not a huge believer, but I know I personally just haven't seen anything, so it's hard to go off of that. And then anything I've ever seen on TV or something usually seems pretty cheesy. So
I know, but there's so much out there. It's hard to believe that nothing, that we're the only things that exist. So I
yeah, I can see there being life.
yeah,
I don't know if there would be intelligent life or anything like that, but I could see there being, organisms and stuff like that somewhere out there on another planet. But whether it would be intelligent life would be hard to say. But
totally. Who knows? Maybe it's us in the future coming back and checking on us or whatever, because I feel like we're headed in that direction to search and explore the galaxies, things of that sort. I don't know how we got onto UFOs, but I guess it was the George St. Pierre thing. Have you, has anyone reached out to you from like that?
Not yet anyways. We kind of finished the fight and went right into the holiday season. So it's been, it's been pretty hectic. But I know in the beginning of the new year is when we're going to start to plan out the training camp and try and get a hold of the UFC and see. I'd like to aim for March for the next fight, and then we could kind of plan out the training camp and stuff, and maybe get down to Vegas and check out the UFC Performance Institute and stuff. And but yeah, so I'm hoping beginning of the new year we'll plan everything out, and then we'll see if we're going to go back to TriStar for a bit and kind of where we're going to do all the training.
I know you went to Team Alpha Male also at one point, right?
Yep. Yeah. In 2015, I went down to Team Alpha Male for a month.
Wow, that's pretty dedicated. How did that happen?
One of my training partners from up here had gone down there a couple times, so that's how I'd always heard about Uriah Faber and Team Alpha Male and stuff, but I'd never really thought about going down. But then I had got a title fight at 145, and I thought, well, maybe I'll move my camp down to Team Alpha Male, and it was pretty pricey, but we went down for the month, and of course I got there, and as soon as I got there, the opponent I was supposed to fight out in BC up here in Canada, he showed up too for a month, so we basically spent the whole month training at Alpha Male together.
Oh my god!
And then. Yeah, and then, he was doing some work with some of the Alpha Male guys, and he wasn't doing very well, and then I'd do pretty well against the guys that were beating him up, and then all of a sudden he got an injury or something and had to pull out of the fight.
What a coincidence. He got scared. Maybe. That would be interesting. But, so, okay, I assumed for whatever reason that fighters at Team Alpha Male kind of like lived there for free. I've heard they had like housing and whatever. Were you living on that street that they have all the houses on, or what were you doing?
Yeah, so I stayed at one of the fighter dorms, and so I went for a month, and it was $500 US a week.
Oh wow, that is pretty pricey.
Yeah, so it ended up being $2,000 to stay and train, and I think $1,000 of it went to the housing guy, and then the other $1,000 went to the guy or to the gym. And then I took down like $1,000 for groceries and stuff and all that stuff, and then the flight was $1,300 or $1,400. So I think in the end it was around 5,000 or 6,000 US.
Wow,
or maybe Canadian, and it ended up being 6,000 Canadian when it got converted or something. But yeah, and then there was no fight, so I didn't make any money either. So
that's horrible. But
yeah,
so I presume like Elite One, you were are you still the champion? Elite One MMA, 145.
Yeah. So they were never able to kind of find somebody to challenge me for the title. And now I don't know what'll happen now. Now that I'm in the UFC, I've got the exclusive contract and stuff, so I can't really do anything else. So I'm not sure what they'll do.
Yeah, that was really cool when you got that belt. I was really excited about that. We got some pretty cool photographs of you with the belt wearing Sheath and stuff. If you go to our Facebook page, Sheath Underwear, you'll see Kyle holding the belt, wearing a Sheath shirt, and looking like a badass. Really appreciate the fact that you've like joined up with us and stuck with us, because I mean we've been growing, we've been doing better and better, and this year I have this unreasonable, probably almost impossible goal of like 10xing where we were this year, which was our biggest year ever. We happen to be in like the top 1% of all of the websites that operate through this platform, which is Shopify. If you're going to do a website, I recommend Shopify to anybody listening. But we're in the top 1% of all their stores, which is 600,000 different stores. And they reached out to us. I mean, I kind of feel like it's like the UFC reaching out to you, but it's like Shopify reaching out to us and saying, hey, we noticed, we see what you're doing. You're killing it. We want to partner up with you, and we're going to help you 10x. Like, they are the ones that said that they think they can 10x us. It's not like me necessarily just out on a whim saying I want to 10x, because we double each year in growth, and like just kind of naturally it seems like. But if they're going to help us grow to that level, I'm going to do everything I can on my side to make sure that happens, which is essentially making sure we have inventory, which, as you know, has been a challenge, because for whatever reason we keep selling out, and I mean it's like a blessing and a curse, because we're selling the product but then we don't have it, and then people are complaining, and that's the curse part. But I think we got most people's Christmas presents to them in time, like just barely within a couple of days. That was like our most recent shipment had gotten delayed at customs for like a month, and it was just a nightmare. But we've got it like 2 weeks ago. We finally got it and started shipping everybody's stuff out. So, but this company, Shopify, they said we have the best retention rate, because they can see all the analytics and they see all these other companies out there in their statistics and what, so it appears that other underwear companies have a better conversion rate, which means like people that visit the store, more people buy, but we have more people that come back. So our customers come back and stay with us more at a higher percentage rate than those companies. So in essence, we have a better product ultimately, but they're doing better in marketing and getting that initial purchase. So what Shopify is going to help us do is get people to convert more on the first time they visit our store, which is something that we've been kind of wanting help with. And they're going to do their magic, which is, like they're going to help us improve the website features and just like make it look more pro and make people feel more comfortable taking that initial leap on trying our product. And then when we have the better conversion rate, everything just will expand exponentially. So just be ready, and we're going to be sending you some more products soon. I'm trying to get all of that like more organized, more efficiently, because it's just like logistics and everything. And we keep getting more and more products, more and more different options, like the women's line and stuff. How is that? How's the response of the women's line been up there?
It's been a little bit slower online wise. I've had a lot of like interest of people talking to me personally,
right?
But yeah, it hasn't made it over to sales yet. I don't think I get the odd sale, like a couple, maybe 5, 6 pair go out a week.
Yeah.
So I mean, compared to, I mean, the men's is obviously doing very well.
Yeah.
So the woman nowhere near the men's yet, but again, it's just kind of starting out, and it's a whole different market. So I think it's just going to take a little bit longer to catch on.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's kind of like the same situation we're having here. It's not a huge percentage. It's just like hardly anything of our overall sales, but it adds a little bit of flavor to the marketing and like the social media and stuff. So I'm not, regretting making that decision, but it's definitely not the big moneymaker either. So I feel like we'll let it, run its core. I like grow naturally or organically. So that's all good. So how do you foresee this next year going? You want to fight in March, win, and then just keep going?
Yeah, so yeah, I'd like to try and get in, maybe 4 fights in the UFC if possible. 5 would be awesome, but 4 is the goal. So fight in March, then see where we're at, get a hold of Sean Shelby, and maybe fight in June, something like that, and try and keep the ball rolling with fights and just stay in shape, stay active, and keep winning. And then hopefully by 2020 we'll start looking at a title shot.
Yeah, you would be fighting the Hawaiian dude who just fought Brian Ortega.
Yeah.
What's his name again?
Yeah, Max.
Yeah, Matt. I'm sorry. Max Holloway. He's amazing. I actually really like him. I didn't think he was going to win that fight per se, because I felt like Brian Ortega was just bigger, but he wasn't bigger. They're like, Max is actually taller.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see that fight?
Yeah, I was backstage. They've got like a fighter's green room where after you fight, you and the coaches and all that stuff go and eat and watch the rest of the fights. So I sat back there and watched all the fights that night.
Yeah, that was a really good fight. And I was like, I wanted Max to win, but I was like, for whatever reason, I didn't think he was going to win. And then he did. So but that's you'd have to beat him. He's pretty tough. You think you could take him?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there's some holes in his game I think I could exploit.
Good. That's the type of attitude I like. Interesting news. I believe I saw it on a meme. I don't know if it's true, but they just moved the UFC from Vegas to Los Angeles. This next card, is that true?
Yeah. Everything I'm seeing says that's true. John Jones got tested again, and he tested positive for a little bit of whatever that Tranabol that he tested positive for like a year and a half ago. So he tested positive for that again, but then the UFC is trying to say that's like residue from the year and a half ago test. So they want to keep the fight going, but the athletic commission in Las Vegas said, no, he tested positive. He's not allowed to fight. But then the California athletic commission is like, well, we'll let him fight. So they just moved the entire card, on 6 days notice over to Los Angeles, which that's pretty unheard of.
I know, that's got to be a huge disruptor of like everything. Everything's got to, switch over pretty fast. Probably have to sell all the tickets, a lot short notice. But that dude, I hate to be like opinionated about people, but I do not like John Jones, and I never really have liked him. And I hope that Gustafsson wins, and I think that I would be like so happy. That would make me happy.
I watched their first fight because the first time they fought it was in Toronto, so I went and watched it live.
Whoa.
And I thought he won the first fight. It was super close and stuff, but yeah, I thought Gustafsson got the better of that.
Yeah, and it was very close. It's tough to say who won, but My thing is just like about class. It's about class, and then it's about like just being born with all of the gifts, like without even really necessarily having to try. And it feels like John has just like this natural ability to stay in shape and be, good at what he does. And I know he has to train the techniques and stuff, but I guess I'm more of like a person that roots for the underdog, anyways. And if he was somehow an underdog, I would like him more. But I'm more of like a Daniel Cormier fan, and I mean, and then he tested positive after beating Cormier, and it's just like, it's not fair to me. And I don't mind people using performance enhancing drugs if you're not, I guess, competing. But if, to try to make it an even playing field, either everybody needs to be doing it or nobody needs to be doing it. And
Yeah.
if you're already born with just a natural ability, I think both of his brothers are in like the NFL, which by itself, it means that you were born big and tall and strong, for the most part. And then, you just have to kind of play the game, and you'll be at the top of your peer group, just because you're bigger and stronger, just like kind of almost naturally. And then he's adding whatever performance enhancing drugs on top of it. It's like, bro, why don't you just like try really hard? But I guess because in my personal experience, I mean, I wanted to be in the NBA, and I'm a 5'8" white guy that's not that coordinated or fast, or I had like no real special ability. So I really had to try like really hard just to be decent at basketball. And when you see people that are just born like 6'8" and can dunk already, and it's just like, okay, there's no way in hell I can even compete with these people.
Yeah.
I guess I'm a little bit, not bitter or anything, but it's just like, they should have a league for short white guys, is all I'm saying. But, like with the UFC, you have weight classes and stuff, so they at least, I mean, they don't have that in basketball. But, so how old are you now? 26-ish? 29?
27 now.
Yeah. So, yeah, you're not even in your prime yet, I think they say. Am I right? Something like that?
Yeah. Yeah, they say 30 is your prime.
I could attest to that. I'm 40 now, and I remember being 30 and, being like, okay. I mean, because then you have like all of the experience as well as being like in your physical prime.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see that being like one of the better ages for, just being at the peak. And I'm not quite at my peak anymore. I'm like coming back downhill. I'm hoping for some, I was talking about performance enhancing drugs. I don't mind people use them because I want to use them because but I want like some biotech, like stuff that like reverses aging and all that. I'm waiting for that stuff to come out. I hope that it comes out soon.
Yeah. Like, I think PRT goes a long way.
Yeah. I actually I have been taking advantage of that for a couple of years, actually, because for whatever reason, I'm a big fan of Joe Rogan. Shout out to Joe Rogan. I hope one day you get to, I mean, on your next fight, I hope he gets to like interview you and talk about how awesome you did and fucking, that was amazing. How you knocked him out with the left uppercut elbow or something.
Yeah.
Do you practice any type of visualization with your life when it comes to fighting or anything in general?
Yeah, definitely leading up to a fight. I picture the fight and I run through, all the kind of different ways the fight can go and different scenarios and stuff. And that way, when you're in the fight, you're not really surprised when certain stuff happens. And you kind of study your opponent, you see what he likes to do, and then you envision, fighting him while he's trying to do that stuff and how you'd get around it and stuff. So yeah, I think it's a great tool to help get ready for fights.
Did someone teach you that, or what do you like? How did you start doing that?
I think it was just, when I started fighting in amateur kickboxing and then amateur MMA and then professional MMA. And it was just kind of, as I went along, it was just a bunch of trial and error. The gym I was fighting out of, we didn't have any fighters before me. So I was kind of the first guy to actually go out and compete. So everything was brand new for me and my coach. And, we just kind of wung it in trial and error. And, we try some of that. And, so now we've got a working system.
I like that, wung it. I knew what you meant. I don't know if that's the past tense or whatever of winged it, but I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I read it in like books for success help, self-help books and stuff, but Uriah Faber is like a big believer in The Secret and vision boards and visualization. Did that come about at any point when you were there, or were you just like training?
Well, you train pretty hard, but then usually after every practice, especially if Uriah was teaching the practice, he would always, everybody kind of gathered around and he'd say, a few words and stuff. That was usually pretty motivational.
Yeah. We have a few other fighters on our, kind of roster or whatever. We got David Acosta, Peter Barrett, and Michael Mallet. Those are the three other ones that I can think of off the top of my head. And I believe you've met some of them. Is that right?
Yeah. So Mike, he started training at one of the gyms I train at now. And he's actually the reason why I first went down to Alpha Male, because he had been down there training and stuff. So he was the guy I talked to go down there.
Yeah.
And then while I was down there, Peter Barrett came out and he trained with us for a couple weeks. That's where I first met him.
He's a pretty wild character. He's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
He partakes in the marijuana. Have you ever done that? Are you allowed to talk about that?
I've never tried it, but now it's completely legal here in Canada and stuff. And I've never tried that. Never tried any CBD oil or anything.
Probably not necessary then, if you're not, you're already doing well. There's no reason to throw anything else into the mix. If it ain't broke, don't fix it type of a thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. I figured something, when I retire from MMA, I'll probably try some marijuana. And who knows, I've got lots of aches and pains already. So another 10 years from now, by the time I retire, I might need some of that. So
it definitely can ease the pain a little bit. I can attest to that. I have been a participant for like a couple decades, if you will. I did join the Army, so I had a break in between, but I like to enjoy the effects from time to time. But like sometimes, maybe even too much, but I'd like it back to Joe Rogan or whatever. I did that Sober October this past couple months ago, and having been a pretty habitual smoker and then stopping, I noticed some pretty interesting effects as far as from not smoking and going back to like a normal kind of baseline of consciousness. And now I've since started smoke. I smoke not like I was, kind of just like maybe at night or something. It's more under control now, like, or more just like responsible, kind of not just smoking every time I think of smoking, just smoking, like at night or something along those lines. But I like it. I'm a proponent. I'm in Colorado and it's legal here also. So I'm not like breaking the law or anything. But you have some other sponsors that Delaney's, is that right?
yeah, Moose Delaney's. Yeah, it's a local bar here in Huntsville.
Yeah, I like. I feel like I know that little town or whatever. That's pretty cool that they've been sponsoring you ever since we were sponsoring you.
Yeah, so they started when I used to work there when I was like 17 or something. So they actually started sponsoring me when I was still doing amateur kickboxing and stuff. So it's I've been working with them for a long time.
That's really cool. And then gym, are you still a part of that 24 gym?
Yeah, kind of. It's yeah, a little bit.
Okay, because I feel like I remember them making you part owner or something.
Yeah, so I had bought in as a part owner back in 2014.
Yeah,
Yeah, so then it's been an interesting ride, but I've got to see some of the behind the scenes
yeah,
and hear a little bit more and learn more about how businesses work and stuff. So that's been nice.
yeah. Gyms can be difficult.
Yes.
We were gonna do a gym like this year. We were looking at spots to open up like a Sheath gym, which was gonna double slash triple quadruple as a warehouse, a storefront, and a corporate office here in Colorado Springs. And the idea was just to like build a community, have athletes come and train and promote our product while they're working out, because that's kind of how I see Sheath as this, like a active man's underwear, even though they're for everyone. Those of you out there that don't work out, it's all good. But you and I I mean, I'm like addicted to working out. It's like I get a good feeling when I do that, and that's why I do it. And so, just as that type of person, we kind of market it in that way. But we decided to not do that because it was just going to be like this huge expense, and it was going to be all these operational costs when it comes to hiring and employees and management. And I kind of like the idea of having freedom to be mobile and not, because if you once you open a gym, I mean, you got to be there like every day, or you would know. I don't know. Somebody's got to be there.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody's got to be there, and so unless you've got some people you can really trust that know what they're doing, otherwise you've got to be there every day, most of the day, to make sure everything's running smoothly and stuff. So it's hard to go on trips or vacations or training camps or anything like that.
Yeah, but you're very. I mean, it seems to me like you're very entrepreneurial. You're,
Yeah, I've always been interested in kind of not working necessarily
mm-hmm.
9 to 5 for somebody. I started when I was 10. I used to have my own lawn care business. I'd go around and cut grass and stuff. And, I think with doing that, I kind of got addicted to that kind of working for myself and then
Yeah, that's awesome.
make a lot more money and you can kind of make your hours and stuff. So, yeah, I'm definitely not a big fan of the 9 to 5 thing.
Well, tell me about that real quick. I mean, I presume you have no job. When's the last time you had a job like that? Or have you had one? A 9 to 5 type
Yeah,
thing?
yeah. Back in, I think like this last summer, I did a little bit of work, just helping my buddy deliver magazines, just because it was super flexible. But
Yeah.
back in 2016, I worked at Home Depot. I just did the night shift, so I worked like 8 to 1 in the morning or something, just stocking shelves and stuff. I drove school bus for a little bit when I was like 21. I worked at a rock quarry. I split stone for a while. So I've done a little bit of everything, but it's all been, kind of in between fights or something. Like I don't usually stick at a job too long because something will come up where I have to travel for a training camp, and they're like, "Well, we can't give you the time off. We can't have a couple weeks off or a month off to do this or get ready for that." So usually, fighting comes first, and usually after a while, my job and fighting come to a head, and so I usually have to end up leaving to.
That's cool, man. That's so we're like similar. I mean, but you do what you have to do. Like, since I've had Sheath, I've had a Chinese food delivery job. This was back in like 2014 when I didn't want to be taking money from the business. I needed some extra cash, so I was like, I'm just gonna go get a job, and I did that. And I was cleaning golf carts at a golf course at the end of the day, just spraying them down. I did both of those jobs lasted maybe a month. Just like, okay, I don't need this per se. I'm just like kind of doing it. And you know, being the owner of a company, I don't know how it is yet, like whenever you become famous and stuff, but like it can be lonely, if you will, like because you're like, it's lonely at the top or whatever. And so the real reason I was trying to even get a job was to get out of my house and like meet people. Cause you know, when you run a business from home, you know, yeah, I just can stare at my computer all day and check the numbers and update social media and stuff. But I wanted to have some sort of personal life. And, you know, then I was going to do this, to open that gym, as I was like, well, we're going to build a community. And we'll have all these guys and girls, and then being like the CEO, whatever, I'd be like, okay, I get some amount of respect these days from my peers. Like people either look up to me, or I think people are starting to kind of believe in the brand and the potential, you know?
Yeah.
I think like you being in the UFC, have you noticed any difference in like people treating you any kind of new way or anything?
Just like more people notice me, I guess, when I'm around town and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's pretty similar. Like even when I was doing other fights, you know, when you're going into the fight, everybody's messaging you, and you know you have thousands of friends and stuff. And then
Yeah.
you do the fight, and then when you win, you know that you know everybody's still messaging. And there's like 2 weeks of being on top of the world, and then you know after that, everybody kind of forgets about you again. And so especially if you lose a fight, you know you've got all that attention leading up to the fight, you lose, and then it disappears instantly, and then so then you're kind of you know on your own again for a while, and then you get another fight, and then everybody starts coming back around. So it's pretty interesting that way.
Isn't it? Yeah, I could see that being just like like from an observer standpoint, how people treat you, and when you're doing something like following your dream, like you're doing, like I'm doing, like a lot of us are doing. I think ultimately we're setting a good example to people like, hey, if I can do it, if I can do this, you know, you can do whatever it is that you wanted to do. You just have to, I mean, dude, I fucking cried when I was like, when I heard you made it. I was like, because like you stuck with it, you know, like you didn't give up, and not that there was ever really any reason for you to give up because you were kind of still winning, but life can throw curveballs at you, and you know, whatever challenges you may have faced, you never gave up, and then you made it. And I was like, oh man, it's just like a testament of the pursuit, you know, like persistence and following through, and you are living that example of what can happen when you go for it and just don't quit, you know.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, I'm not sure what the odds would be, but for you know a young kid coming out of a you know a small town, kind of in the middle of nowhere, you know, we're you know 2.5 hours away from Toronto, kind of the biggest city nearby. But yeah, the chances of somebody like me making it to something like the UFC, you know, they got to be pretty.
Like astronomical or something, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Like I mean, I don't know if I played hockey, you know, it'd be the NHL, or if I played football, it'd be the NFL. But because I'm a mixed martial artist, UFC is kind of the top of the mountain, I guess you'd say.
Definitely.
So and you don't hear of you know many NHL players or NFL players or anybody NBA players coming from my little hometown or any other little hometowns like this anywhere around here. So
That's so cool, man. I'm like super proud of you. I'm so like thrilled that you are still with us, and you know, for whatever reason, we're still working together, and hopefully we will both continue to grow together as, you know, your brand, the Kyle the Monster Nelson brand grows, and Sheath, and I think ultimately we're going to both grow, and we just need to stay in this partnership because it's just going to be mutually beneficial both ways. And it has been up to this point. You know, like you had mentioned, I don't know, it was just like I couldn't have done it without Sheath or something like that. And I know that's not true. Like you weren't talking about making it to the UFC, but I think there was something happening, and you were just like, you know, just you really appreciate what we've done for you, but we appreciate what you've done for us. And you're like, I believe in you is basically what I'm going to say. I think that you're going to end up getting a Monster energy drink contract at some point, and just become hopefully somewhat of a household name, because from what I've seen in your fights, you have what it takes, you know, like you move forward, you don't back down, you're not scared, you stay calm, you have the technique, you have the discipline, and you're not going to give up or quit. So just keep doing what you're doing. It's all coming in the future. And you went through your first little experience and had that adrenaline dump, and that is like super normal, I think, for a lot of people. So on this next fight, we're going to see the real Kyle the Monster Nelson, and get that victory. Have Joe Rogan talking to you after the fight, Dana White congratulating you on an excellent performance, and it's all going to just go up from there until you get the championship. I believe that is, I mean, it's like, why not you? I like to say, like, if somebody else can do it, you can do it, and you put yourself in that position, and now it's just a matter of going through the motions and making it happen. So
yeah, exactly. I think 2019 is going to be a pretty interesting year for my UFC career, and then for Sheath, we'll get that 10 million, and it's going to be exciting.
Fuck yeah, dude! Right on, man. Well, thank you for coming on here. We're going to be posting this on our YouTube channel in the next couple of days. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and let's just have a great 2019. All right.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, thanks. Merry Christmas to you and everyone back there at Sheath. And big things are coming.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, brother. Well, have a good rest of your day, and I will talk with you soon. This podcast was brought to you by SHEATH.com. Go to SHEATH.com, use promo code YouTube, and you can save 20% on your next order. I'm Robert Patton. That was Kyle the Monster Nelson. We're expecting big things from him and Sheath, and you, the listener. Follow your dreams. You might actually achieve them. And out.